Mike Craven here, Dave Campbell's Texas Football with Sam Houston head coach KC Keeler. Coach, how's it going heading into week 4?
Yeah, Mike, doing well. Had a nice opening weekend win against Rice, and then went up against a pretty good Central Florida team. Just a little bit out of our league. Disappointed that we didn't play better to kind of keep ourselves in the game, and then those games can come down to the end. But rebounded and went out and beat another good Hawaii team. So have two good wins under our belt, and looking forward to starting conference play against New Mexico State.
You can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think one of the words I would use to describe you is confidence. And I'm curious, before we talk about this football season, if there was ever a time last year during that tough start that even your confidence was shaken a little bit.
Yeah, I think when you start off 0-8, and I think when you've lost as many close games as we lost, I think it's easy to get your confidence shaken. But again, I need to be the rock for everybody else. And I think if they see me panic, they're going to panic. But quite honestly, looking back, they're the ones who kept me going, the players. And I've said this many times, just going into the Sunday weight room workout and watching our guys just attacking it. And then coming out on Tuesday for practice and just seeing how their attitudes are and how they're just trying to get better and trying to win a football game. It was a testament to our culture. I think a lot of programs would have pulled apart. We knew it was going to be, a little uphill playing a BYU and an Air Force and a Houston back to back to back when we're just transitioning up. And then we got some injuries early. But boy, the team just hung together. And I think that's why, Mike, so many guys came back and decided they wanted to, stay in terms of, they put themselves in the portal and all those kind of things. They wanted to be Bearkats for the rest of their career. And so we started with a good foundation of bringing a lot of really good players back. And I think that has kind of been the impetus of us getting a good start here. We have brought a lot of good players back. I thought we also added to our roster.
Kind of a flip side of that this year, 2-1 start, beat two G5 teams alongside you there as peers. What are the tangible benefits behind the scenes for a team that kind of gets off to a quick start, sees the success early?
Well, it's just, Sundays are so much different after a win than after a loss. Your whole life goes into that week. And if you're not successful that week, boy, it drains you. It wears you out. And then you got to kind of pull it all together, you know? So, yeah, getting off to a good start, playing well in certain facets of the game, having some results that are in a positive way. And, after the game, there's a reason why we dance in the locker room after every win. And I'm dancing with the fellas because it's hard, especially the level we've moved to where literally every program, has very similar or better resources than we do. And these games are all going to be 50-50 games. You appreciate that. When we were FCS and, we looked at our schedule, we probably were better than 8 of the 11 on the schedule, and 3 were going to be toss-up games. Different mindset. Now every week you're just 50-50 game. How many of those 50-50 games can you win to put yourself into a bowl? And then if you're winning those 50-50 games, can you win the conference? So it's kind of a little bit different mindset. But I think starting off with a win over Rice, that was a bowl team last year, and beating Hawaii, who went toe-to-toe with UCLA up to the very end this past year. I think that's a good start for us, and hopefully we can continue it this weekend against New Mexico State.
Well, you talk about all those 50-50 games that are coming along the way, and I know you're just so razor focused on your own team, but have you noticed in Conference USA as a whole, like what y'all's conference looks like and what it's going to shape out like for this upcoming year? For this year.
I get so tunnel vision. I kind of take a little peek around the periphery, and then I get right back to playing New Mexico State. Because I realize that nothing else really matters if we don't beat New Mexico State. They're kind of starting all over again. And, a lot of respect for them. They had a phenomenal year last year. Obviously lost their coach, lost a lot of players. But, this is a team that has the ability to rebuild pretty quickly. I love their running backs. Almost the entire offensive line came back. I think possibly the entire offensive line came back from last year's team. Lost a lot of guys on defense. but they have some really good coaches over there. Joe Morris, worked for me, phenomenal football coach. Jared Hensley, I think, is a rising star in our profession. He's their linebacker coach. So yeah, I mean, great to have him here in Huntsville because that trip is hard now. I mean, you got to fly into El Paso. You got to stay in El Paso because there's really no full service hotels up in New Mexico State. So then it's an hour and 15-minute ride the day of the game. So there's some challenges there. And there's a reason why they've played very well at home. So yeah, it's great getting back on our home turf. Great crowd last weekend, sell out, hopefully big crowd again this weekend. I know ticket sales are way up, but looking forward to, having them at our place instead of traveling there.
When you talk about New Mexico State's running backs and an entire offensive line returning, it's going to be a huge game for the defense. And under new defensive coordinator Skylar Cassidy, y'all are allowing 13 points a game to both the G5 opponents you faced. What's been the difference you've seen in the defense under Coach Cassidy?
Well, I thought we played some really good defense in my time here with Joe Morris. But, Skylar kind of brings a little different, flair to it. And kids have been really consistent. I like our talent. I think that was one of the keys was keeping our talent here, and we did that. But also I think they did a really good job of just adding a couple pieces to the puzzle. So, yeah, I think we have, pretty good skill set on the defensive side of the ball, and they've been playing fairly clean. That was the disappointment with the Central Florida game. For how clean we played defensively against Rice, we played that unclean that's what I could think of, in terms of Central Florida. And then we went back and played very clean football this past weekend. So when we play clean and we're on top of our assignments and our eyes are in the right place, I think we have a pretty good unit defensively, and Skylar's done a great job.
Yeah, this morning I was watching the Sam Houston-Hawaii game, missed it on Saturday. But every time the offense had the ball, I was like, oh, that guy's healthy. Oh, that guy's healthy. Oh, that guy's healthy. How nice has it been to have kind of all the weapons offensively? I know you guys felt a little hamstrung last year with just all those injuries early on.
Yeah, we went into a season where we thought, boy, we have some real weapons on the perimeter. Claudes Humphreys, Ife Day, Noah Smith. And then all of a sudden we started losing some of those pieces of the puzzle. And you can just see now, Ife's made some big plays already. Claudes is a full-grown ass man. I mean, try tackling him in space. I mean, it's been difficult. And he had a big breakout game this past weekend, over 100 yards and receptions. I think he had 2 touchdowns. So it's nice having those pieces of the puzzle, healthy. And then we added a transfer from Memphis at running back, Duck. I think he had 150 so yards or whatever, broke off a big run. And so we really got like 4 running backs that can play at this level and play well at this level. Probably have 7 wide receivers that we can roll in. We've got 3 tight ends that we can play. This is the deepest team, that I've had. We'll play 8 or 9 offensive linemen. And same thing on defense. And we played 6 safeties early in the season against Rice. So I think one of the keys for us is that we have a deep team, and that depth needs to be our friend because just like this past Saturday, it's going to be 92 at kickoff. Humidity is going to climb during the evening. It's going to be one of those games where you're going to have to roll bodies in and out, and we're going to have to roll bodies in and out. I think we have the bodies to do that.
You ever check the weather back home in Delaware and go like, what am I doing?
I don't miss the cold at all. I don't miss the cold at all. It's like it'll be 50 degrees out, and I'll have like 2 sweatshirts on and a hat. And Coach, it's 50 degrees. I said, it's freezing. Like, what are we doing? Why did I move to Texas if it's going to be 50 degrees? But yeah, no, I just really can't do the cold weather anymore, and I'd much rather have the heat. And we practice in the mornings. And that's worked out well for us because typically we're getting off the field as that heat starts to come out about 10:30 or so. But early in the year in training camp, we were forced to go in the evenings because our field was being redone. And we found that it was one of the best things we ever did because you realize your body isn't used to sitting around all day and then all of a sudden going playing football. We much rather get up and play. but you have to prepare that way. And so going 2.5 weeks where we were in essence preparing to play these evening games, practicing at 6 o'clock at night, kind of sitting around all day in meetings and eating and doing all those kind of things. It actually worked out well. I think it actually has prepared us for the 8 evening games we have. And so we always say every obstacle is an opportunity. And that obstacle of having to switch our whole schedule around because we had to practice at Huntsville High School, something I'll probably do next year in terms of practicing in the evening early in training camp, just to get a feel for, guys, this is how your body has to work. This is how you have to prepare for an evening game. So again, it all works for a reason.
Is the fishing better in Delaware or Texas?
Boy, I tell you what, I grew up on a little pond in Pennsylvania, Hex Pond. Every weekend, that's where my family went in the summertime. And I used to catch some big old walleye and pickerel and bass. But the largemouth bass, you can't beat at Elkins Lake. It was about a 5-pounder, 5.5-pounder I caught off the dock a couple days ago. Thursday night is date night, so I make sure all the coaches get out. And my wife, God bless her soul, we got 38 years, actually 39 years of marriage under our belt. And she knows that date night might mean me going out and doing a little fishing off the dock. So yeah, I had hooked that same bass about 2 weeks earlier and lost it at the dock. So finally, I won, but let him go, and hopefully 2 weeks from now he'll remember, or he'll forget my lure, and I'll catch him again.
Is this the dock behind your house? Like you fish the spot behind your house?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. When we moved to Texas, I told my wife we're gonna live on the lake, and there's a lake 7 minutes from campus, and it's really good fishing, and I've caught a lot of great fish on that lake, and we've got the kayaks, and so yeah, it's been a great experience. I mean, the last decade here has been totally different than living on the East Coast, and it's been something that my wife and I have really enjoyed.
Speaking of grabbing some fish, Clayton Barnes, you kind of got Hunter Watson in as the JUCO quarterback there late in the cycle. That was a professional segue, by the way. You're a former TV guy.
That was so nice.
Yeah, you can appreciate that, Coach Keeler. What is he kind of given to this offense? And also, is JUCO a place that teams like Sam Houston can exploit with the transfer portal, and maybe it's overlooked in a way it used to not be?
Yeah, so our mindset is this. There's a lot better high school players out there than ever before because so many people are spending time and energy in the portal. And less high school players are getting recruited. It's the same thing in the junior college ranks. It's kind of the second spot they go. They go to the portal first. Guys that have played at a Florida or an A&M or a Penn State, or maybe a guy who's had great success at the FCS level or maybe even the Division II level. And so for some reason, like the JC kids have been sort of like, not as highly recruited. And so there's some great options out there and some great bargains. And, Hunter Watson's a guy that we just looked at his tape, and Clayton Barnes, my general manager, brought it to me. And we're like, how doesn't this guy have any Division I scholarships? And I sent my O coordinator to go watch the national championship game. And I remember him calling me from the sideline or from the field, from the stands, and going, "This kid's special. This kid does some stuff other people don't do." And I would have this discussion with Ron Jaworski. I shared an office with Jaws when I was working for NFL Films, and I always would say, like, guys have it, and he goes, "There's no it." I'm like, Jaws, I know you have done Monday Night Football and all those things and played in the Super Bowl, but I think there's it. I think there's some guys who just have that intangible, that just the way they carry themselves, the way they attack a game, like when they get punched in the mouth, how they react. And Eric Schmid was one of those guys who had it. And I had a kid, Andy Hall, won a national championship. One of those guys who just, you couldn't explain. Joe Flacco had it. I mean, so I've been blessed to have some players, and quarterbacks in particular, that just had that something about them, that they could go have a couple of bad plays and it doesn't worry them. They're just going to go and put that ball right between two defenders because they just have that quality to them. Whatever happened the play before, or the 5 plays before, the 10 plays before, that doesn't bother them. I remember asking Joe after he got drafted, I said, "Listen, someday I'm going to be doing a talk to a bunch of businessmen or a youth football group or whatever, and they're all going to want to know, like, hey, you coached that first round pick. I mean, what made him special? And he didn't even blink. I mean, his answer came out so confidently. He goes, I'm not afraid to fail. And it's very much like the guys that I talked about earlier, Schmidt and Watson and Andy Hall. I mean, those are all guys, we're not afraid to fail. They have confidence. And they know that, if they worry about it, it's not going to help the situation. Just go play. And that's what I think Hunter gives us. Hunter gives us a guy who has a lot of confidence and exudes that with his teammates.
Had a big home game against Hawaii. I think it was like 15, 16,000 people there. Another Saturday home game this week. Just what are those Saturdays like in Huntsville for those who haven't gotten out there, and how much does that crowd help the Bearcats?
Yeah, I mean, we're excited for the players. What a great crowd, close to being a record if it wasn't a record. I know ticket sales are really up already this week, and they're going to have another really good crowd. And just the energy, that was in the stadium. And, when you're playing well, that you feed off that energy. So I have to thank the university for really kind of stepping up their game and doing a great job marketing and getting our students out in great numbers, and the fans came out in great numbers. So, again, this is anticipated to be a game that's going to be I don't know if it's going to be a record-setting attendance, but it's going to be another, packed house. And you got to feed off that energy, no question about it.
Did you notice your band was playing Hawaii 5-0?
I did not. I love our band. One of my disappointments was that I got pulled over for ESPN interview at the end of the game. I wanted to be over with the team, saluting the band and the fans and that, win or lose, we always go over and we do the alma mater. But our band is awesome. They get after it. I mean, it is, they enjoy who they are, and they wear it proudly.
Well, Sam Houston band needs to be thinking of another theme song to get ready for this game against Mexico State. Coach, we'll be watching this weekend. Thank you so much for coming on, and let's go Bearcats heading into Saturday.
Appreciate it, guys. You know, Cats.